Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we are strapping in for a deep dive into something that's, well, genuinely essential: mastering defensive driving. You shared this really robust stack of sources, and they promise not just theory, but really actionable knowledge for staying safe out there.
They do, and I think the central message in all of them is powerful because it's a bit counterintuitive. Danger. It rarely just pops up and announces itself. Most collisions aren't just one single event. They're usually the end result of a whole sequence of, preventable near misses.
So this deep dive is our mission to sort of turn reaction time into anticipation time.
That's the perfect way to put it.
And the material uses this fantastic illustration for it, this idea of a defensive driving shield.
Yeah.
It defines it as this invisible bubble, a personal space around your car, part physical, part psychological buffer.
That shield is everything. It's the metric for safety. Your whole job as a defensive driver is to prevent anything from getting inside that bubble.
So you're always anticipating a potential invasion, a red light runner, someone swerving.
Exactly. And you're taking action before it happens to keep that buffer zone safe.
And to build that shield, the sources break it down into six pillars, they call them.
Right.
Controls, escape routes, positioning, speed, sliding, and view.
And if you can get a handle on those 6 areas, that's when you go from just a reactive driver to a truly proactive one.
So before we get into the nuts and bolts of those, let's just formally define what we're even talking about. What is defensive driving?
So formally, it's a set of skills, right?
Mhm.
Practices that help drivers anticipate and respond to potential hazards. It's all about reducing accident risk by making safe, well-informed decisions ahead of time.
And it doesn't matter what the conditions are or, frankly, how bad the other drivers around you are.
That's the whole point. You control your own safety.
And while safety is obviously goal number one of the most interesting parts of the sources was about the other benefits.
Yeah.
Why should we care about this beyond just, not getting in a crash?
Well, the first thing is just order. The whole system of traffic laws exists to prevent total chaos.
Right.
They aren't just arbitrary rules. They create a predictable environment. And when everyone follows them, it reduces confusion and collisions.
But defensive driving kind of assumes other people won't follow them.
Exactly. You assume everyone else is going to break the rules, but you follow them to the letter. You become the predictable element.
And that predictability, that adherence, it actually saves you real money.
Oh, for sure. It's not just about avoiding a crumpled fender.
No more fines, no more insurance hikes from tickets.
And no repair costs. It's literally a financial strategy that's just disguised as safe driving.
And then there's the environmental piece, which I found fascinating.
Yeah, the data's pretty clear on that. If you avoid aggressive driving, the constant speeding up, tailgating, slamming on the brakes.
Your fuel efficiency just skyrockets.
It does. And you're putting out fewer emissions. Smooth driving is almost always the most economical driving.
So if we tie that back to the shield idea, obeying the law is the bedrock. It makes the whole system work so your personal shield can be effective.
That's it.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. The actual techniques for keeping that bubble intact. The first one everyone knows, or thinks they know, is the 3-second rule.
Right. But the sources explain the why behind it, the physics of it. It's not just some random number they picked.
Okay, walk us through that.
It's calculated to cover 2 critical phases of stopping, the human part and the car part.
So the first bit, maybe 1.5 seconds, is for you.
Yes. The time it takes your brain to see the hazard, process it, decide to brake, and actually get your foot on the pedal.
And the other 1.5 seconds.
That's all mechanical. It's the time the car itself needs for the brakes to engage and bring you to a complete stop.
Under ideal conditions.
Under perfect conditions. Which is why 3 seconds is the absolute minimum.
So as soon as you add rain or fog or you're going faster,
That number has to go up. 4 seconds, 5, even 6 seconds. Your shield has to expand to match the risk.
and keeping that space depends completely on the view pillar, that 360-degree awareness.
Constant scanning, they call it. Your eyes have to always be moving.
So not just staring at the bumper of the car in front of you.
Never. You're looking way down the road, you're checking your side streets, and you're glancing at your mirrors every, say, 5 to 8 seconds.
Okay, but isn't there a risk of, information overload there? Checking your mirrors every few seconds seems like a lot.
It does at first,
Yeah.
but the sources say it becomes an automated habit, like breathing. You just do it. And part of that habit is setting up your mirrors correctly in the first place to basically get rid of your blind spots.
Oh, this was a great tip.
Yeah, instead of seeing the side of your own car, you adjust them outward. until the view just barely overlaps with your rear view mirror.
It's a total game changer for knowing what's next to you.
It really is.
But all that scanning is pointless if you can't physically control the car when something happens. Which brings us to controls.
Right.
And the sources are so specific here. Both hands on the wheel at the 9 and 3 o'clock positions.
Yes, that placement is vital. It gives you the most leverage for a quick, decisive steering move in an emergency.
So if you hit a patch of ice or a pothole, you're ready.
You have mechanical readiness to match your mental readiness.
And that readiness ties right into positioning and escape routes.
This is the tactical part. It's about where you place your car in the lane. You don't just sit in the middle by default.
So on a highway, for example.
You might position yourself a little to the left of your lane. It gives you a better view down the road, and it opens up the right shoulder as a potential escape route.
You're always making sure you have somewhere to go.
If you're boxed in, you have 0 options.
The sources define this as expect the unexpected. You're actively planning your escape route before you ever need it.
So if that car ahead slams on its brakes, you're not panicking. You're executing a plan you already made.
Brake, check the mirror, and steer into that open space you've been protecting.
Exactly. And that becomes incredibly important in high-stress situations, like heavy traffic.
Ugh, yeah. The sources had some really specific tips for congested roads.
And it was all about staying calm and reducing what they call traffic waves.
I have to admit, I always thought lane weaving saved time. But the sources say it actually makes things worse.
It's the science of traffic flow. It's totally counterintuitive.
Explain that.
When you weave between lanes, you force the person behind you to tap their brakes.
Which causes a chain reaction?
A chain reaction that ripples backward and can grind traffic to a halt miles away. So the advice is lane discipline, pick a lane, and stay in it.
And within that lane, practice smooth driving.
Yes.
Yeah.
No more aggressive, jerky movements. Feather the gas, feather the brake.
You maintain control, and you stop contributing to that traffic wave.
And most importantly, you still maintain your buffer zone.
Even when it's tight.
The key instruction being avoid getting boxed in.
Always. When you pull up to a stoplight, leave enough room so you can see the tires of the car in front of you touching the pavement.
Okay, why that specific distance? What's the magic in seeing the tires? 2 reasons. First, if you get rear-ended, that gap keeps you from being pushed into the car ahead of you.
Ah, I see.
And second, it's the bare minimum space you need to actually steer around that car if it stalls or breaks down. It's your immediate escape route.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. We also have to talk about adapting the shield for bad weather. That's where sliding and speed really come in.
Absolutely. The first rule for wet or icy roads is to just slow down drastically.
And you're following distance.
Has to get way bigger. That 3-second rule is for dry pavement. It's useless on ice.
And this is where the sliding pillar is key. It's about preventing a skid in the first place.
And it all comes back to being smooth. No sudden braking, no sudden acceleration, no jerking the wheel. Any sudden input can break traction.
But what if you do start to skid? Say you hit some black ice.
The main defensive move is to ease off the gas and, this is the important part, steer into the skid.
So you steer in the direction you want the front of the car to go.
Exactly. Not necessarily the direction the car is currently sliding. It takes practice.
Which is why you have to use your view to spot those slick patches before you're on top of them.
And communication becomes even more critical in bad weather. Use your signals way in advance.
The sources had a great tip about tapping your brakes lightly a few times before you actually slow down.
It's a great preemptive warning. It just gives the driver behind you that extra split second to react, which can make all the difference.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, something a lot of people wonder is, what's the actual difference between defensive driving and advanced driving? They sound similar.
Yeah, that's a really common point of confusion.
Yeah.
And the sources draw a very clear line. It's all about the objective.
So defensive driving is?
It's purely about safety and accident prevention. Its audience is, well, all drivers. The techniques are all about avoiding risk, maintaining distance, scanning, all the things we've been talking about.
And advanced driving.
That's about skill enhancement and vehicle performance. The audience is more like professionals, racing enthusiasts, people in high-demand jobs.
So give me an example.
Okay, threshold braking. That's braking as hard as you can without locking up the wheels.
Right.
A defensive driver learns that as an emergency tool, they hope they never have to use. An advanced driver practices it on a track over and over to shave seconds off their lap time.
Same skill, completely different mindset. Safety versus performance?
Precisely. The defensive shield is to survive the chaos of public roads. Advanced skills are for pushing the limits in a controlled environment.
So for anyone listening who wants to get better right now, what are the actionable steps?
The sources lay out a few great ones. First, the obvious one. Take a certified course.
Online or in person?
Either one. A structured class can teach you things like skid recovery in a safe place and just refresh your knowledge of the rules.
And there are these new self-evaluation tools, the driving apps, the telematics from insurance companies.
Those are amazing. They monitor your actual driving habits, your braking speed, acceleration, and give you real-time feedback.
It turns your daily commute into, like, a practice session.
It's the ultimate reflection tool.
Yeah.
And finally, just simple practice and feedback.
What do you mean?
Think about your near misses. We all have them. Analyze what went wrong and how one of those 6 pillars could have prevented it entirely. And, ask an experienced driver you trust to ride with you and point out bad habits you might not even see.
So what does this all mean? When we boil it all down, mastering defensive driving is really about maximizing that invisible buffer zone, that shield. It's about constant awareness, meticulous preparation, and realizing that at the end of the day, you are the only variable on the road you can actually control.
Right. And the source material really hammers home this idea of anticipating what other drivers will do, being ready for that predictable chaos. And, given that even the most experienced drivers need refresher courses to stay sharp, it raises a pretty important question. If this whole framework is built on predicting the chaos that other people bring to the road, how effectively can we ever truly anticipate the human element, the distraction, the fatigue, the quiet aggression that we ourselves might unknowingly bring to the equation every time we get behind the wheel? It's definitely something to mull over on your next drive.
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.